Absolutely beautiful water. Absolutely beautiful area here. Look at those colors. This is 100% unedited. This little water village is where we get the gasoline here from Coke bottles. This is where we get the gas here. Gotta get out of the boat, and in some places you have to walk through the living room of someone, and then you fill up your gas tank with Coca-Cola bottles full of gasoline. This is a beautiful double beach right here. Something there. This was already the second morning after we spent the first afternoon scouting beaches to camp. This is one way to wake up. There's no better breakfast than a fresh coconut. Look at this view. We decided to stay on this nice little beach here, so we're protected from the wind, the waves. Because the beach we wanted to stay originally, just too many waves. It's really shallow, and it's gonna be low tide pretty much at midnight, so I wanna be able to sleep through the night without having to worry about the boat. Double beach, we've got one in one side, fortunately some garbage too, but we're gonna try to clean up a little bit before we're leaving tomorrow. This is beautiful. And then on the other side is another one. There should just be enough elevation for the high tide. I'm guessing one over here and one somewhere over here. You excited?
Of course, man. Yeah.
So yesterday afternoon, we were trying to camp on another beach, and we spotted some strange footprints. This is not some kind of clickbait stuff. Basically, we went to the beach, and there's two beaches across the bay. One of them I know already, and I showed him around a little bit because it was his first time. And the other one, it's across the bay. We took the boat to go over there. Now, first of all, when we came to the first beach, we found some footprints, human footprints, but really wide and really deep in the sand. And this sand here is quite fine and dense. So I'm about 70 kilo. Even if I step down like this, it's hard to make a depression unless you jump. And the footprints yesterday, they were quite deep, as if it's somebody really heavy. I'm gonna add some pictures of that. Anyways, there were some footprints when we arrived on the first beach, and after some scouting, we went to the other side to see if there's a good place to camp. So when we arrived there was nothing on the beach, no footprints. And from the first small beach you can walk across just like here, but it's a bit of a walk, maybe 5-minute walk, and then you can get to a long beach across the other side to another open bay. So we went there for maybe 10 minutes. When we came back, there were footprints, and we didn't hear anybody, we didn't see anybody, and it was basically an open field with palm trees in between. And we didn't hear or see anybody, so really strange. We looked around a little bit, there's nobody there, and we didn't really think that it was possible to swim over to the other side, the same person, because the footprints, they look the same, small and wide. So there must have been someone else, but yeah, we didn't see or hear anything. And the only way to replicate the depth of the footprint was when I walked like really high up in the air. So we decided not to stay there that night. It was just a bit of a weird feeling. Again, no clickbait kind of stuff. It was seriously a bit unnerving. So I think it's better to trust your instincts. So last night we stayed in a friend's place, but today we decided to come to this island. It's a bit smaller, lesser chance of some forest people living in there, Yeah, basically the other one was on this side over here, one of these beaches on the bigger island. So it's possible that there's still some cave people living, or some forest people that live in the forest. You know, there's no houses there. Alrighty, let's get unpacked and enjoy the afternoon. It's gonna be a nice sunset for sure. It's gonna be right over here. Hopefully I can take some videos of that later on. This is so beautiful. We gotta do some more fishing and also snorkeling. Getting some fishes for the aquarium back home. Alright, it's about 20 minutes later. I managed to make myself a bit of an area for the tent. Cleared out all the rocks, roots, corals and whatnot, and can't see any ant nests, so that's good. Let's see if the tent fits in there. My buddy's fishing. I'm hoping I can go for another snorkel, but I think it's getting a bit too late for that. Well, that should be good for the night. Unless the tide goes all the way up there. Alright, my buddy here set up his hammock. Let's see how long until they build a tent. The mosquitoes are coming. The wind's supposed to drop later. Trying to make a fire here. Got my tent set up. That should be pretty comfortable. And look at this view. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, once the sun goes down a little bit more, I'm gonna give it my first try to tell you guys a bit of a story. Why I thought it might be interesting for probably many of you to make this channel, because I'm following a few really interesting channels myself, and while I'm not doing it in the hope to make money with the channel, I do a lot of exploring in nature, lots of hiking, camping with the boat or with the motorcycle. But I'm also really interested in true encounter stories of any kind. Bigfoot, aliens, or visitors. Alien is really a bit of a strange word for that. And yeah, I wanted to start talking about my own experiences, maybe today. And then I'm planning to make videos out in nature where I wanted to share my knowledge about these topics, because I spent a good amount of decades, since I'm 12 years old basically, to research all these things. After I saw my first UFO ironically in a church camp that my parents put me in. So I was never really religious, so yeah, it's really ironic that it happened just there. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you about this a bit later on, and then after that I would like to tell you guys a bit more about other topics. One of the first one I'd like to talk about are the Dogon in Africa. It's a tribe that live in Mali, because I personally like to be studying or read about anything that has some sort of proof, or at the very least common sense, you know, because there's many stories out there that most likely are true, but it could also not be true. So there are certain things on this planet that really can only explain in a certain way. For example, the megastructures, the Giza pyramids that clearly were underwater for a very long time under the ocean, as you can see on the erosion. And there have been corals found inside, fossilized corals. Machu Picchu, the original site, not the ones the Incas built on top of, And then in Lebanon, of course, Baalbek. They're stone blocks that we cannot move until this day. So there's really only two explanations for that. So I just wanted to share a couple of things and also topics that are not so well known about. And I actually have a website that I write about it. I might share it later, although it's not really not so full with information yet because I made a new version of it. But one of the things I talk about are the giants of Bolivia, of which I'm probably gonna make an additional video only about that, where remains have been found, not only bones and skulls, which are clearly not human, at least not the same version as we are, but also artifacts that they used and that still worked. So yeah, let's talk about this later on, maybe before sunset. In the meantime, we're gonna try to make a bit of a bonfire and enjoy the silence of nature. Ready with the camp now. Just about to be sunset time. The boat's a bit further out. It's gonna be really low tide today. Around midnight it's gonna be exactly sea level, which is really low here. Just to make sure the boat doesn't scratch along the reef. Some really interesting rock formations. And really nice sand. Extremely fine sand. It's gonna be a pain in the ass later to get this off the feet. Oh, look who's here. Little grasshopper. Hey buddy. There's some nice plants around here too. Like this one here. I'm not sure the name of it. Maybe one of you guys know what they're called. The sunset is definitely going to be amazing. Just right around the corner here. Can't really see it from the tent, but I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. Yeah, these rock formations here are just amazing. The plants too. Lots of interesting animals here that I saw earlier. Spider nets. I saw something weird crawling around earlier on. I'm not sure what that was. It's so relaxing here. That's exactly what we came for. No stress. No work for once. There's another nice beach over there. But I've seen boats there once in a while of locals, so don't really want to be disturbed, especially not at night. Yeah, so let me tell you guys a little bit about why I decided to make this this channel. Let me go straight to my first encounter. I was about 12 years old, and my parents, they basically got rid of me into some kind of a church camp. And I basically grew up in the city, not a big city, but smaller town near to a relatively big city in Germany. And I didn't really had a chance as a child to see the night sky out of the city. By that time I didn't know what light pollution was and didn't really have much knowledge about anything. But we went to this church camp, and yeah, like I said earlier, I was never really a religious person, even though of course my parents dragged me to church and all that, but I always felt a bit uncomfortable. Now I know why. Back then I didn't know it, but I guess my feeling was right. Anyways, they used to have all kinds of strange games for the kids. Some of them are a bit questionable, but every night the people who run this, they would sit on the campfire, which was kind of nice, but they were playing religious music with the guitar, and to be honest, I didn't like it that much. I love music, but I just didn't like that music for some reason. And I had made this friend, was more or less in the same age as me, and I don't remember his name, it's been long ago, but we would just walk a couple hundred meters away from the campfire and from all the people, and just lay in the grass and watch the stars. And it was beautiful. My God, I still remember it. That was the first time in my life that I really got to see the night sky. Especially when you focus on it for a couple minutes or even half an hour, you see a lot of things in the sky at night. And at that time, I was always interested in aliens. I've always had, I guess because of movies like E.T. and stuff like that, but I always knew it. I always knew there has to be more. And unlike most people, I pretty much understood how big the universe was, even this galaxy. I'm specifically not going to say our galaxy or our planet, because I don't really think it is ours. I don't think we really come from here, to be honest. Or at least we didn't develop here. Anyways, we did this for a couple nights, and one night we were lying there in the grass watching the stars again, and I noticed this light. It looked exactly like a star, except it looked artificial, kind of like later on, I'm not sure if they were on the market yet, but when I was 12 years old, but it looked like the difference between a regular light bulb and a halogen bulb. It just looks different. It's light, but it looks artificial, and that's how it looked like. And it was also brighter, brighter than Sirius. So I watched the star, and basically when I was lying on my back like this, it would come from my feet, from the direction of my feet, up the sky, just to explain it in a simple way. And I was like, I talked to my friend, he was next to me, and like, look at this. Do you see this? And the moment he did, confirm that you see it, it made a 90-degree turn towards the left side from my point of view. Completely 90 degree, no curve, no slowing down, no accelerating, just a 90-degree turn. So that ruled out pretty much everything else it could be. It couldn't have been a meteorite, comet, satellite, airplane. It must have been something weird. Look at the sunset right now, so beautiful. Oh yes. So it made a 90-degree turn. Let me turn this way so you can see the sunset rather than my ugly face. And my nice little boat. It made a 90-degree turn, and right after that, it just didn't disappear. It accelerated. It accelerated, kind of like in Star Trek or Star Wars, more like Star Trek, with leaving behind a trail, which is probably just because of the speed of it. But it accelerated. It didn't dematerialize. It accelerated away, like a warp, some kind of warp. So wow, I still remember it. I will never forget that as long as I live. I was excited. That was my number one emotion. I was excited, and my friend was terrified. He would spend the rest of the night being worried about being abducted by aliens next to me. We had these big tents where like 10, 12 kids or more slept in. I don't remember exactly how many, but it was huge tents. Girls in one, boys in the other. And I was lying there pretty much all night excited, and because I finally had confirmation that there's more. If it was aliens or not, I don't know. It could have been our technology. by now I know a lot more about it, and I will use this channel to tell you the things I know. This is the main reason why I start this, because even though I'm not a good talker, and I probably have a strong dialect because I'm not native English speaker, I think there's gotta be people out there that appreciate getting that information, because the thing about most channels that I'm watching, either they do not know, or they specifically don't share the full information to keep making videos, and that's not what I want to do. I want to share what I know. I want to explain why certain things work and how they work. For example, I know pretty well how our little space friends come here, in some cases even from where and why, and I know certain technologies they use to achieve that without losing any time. They're not using light speed to come here. There are other technologies, and the point of this channel is to make videos and talk about these things, even if it's just for you guys to get an access store and some keywords to do more research, because it is important. You cannot you cannot wake up from your programming without wanting to do research. It doesn't work like that. You have to decide to wake up, or you can also decide to stay asleep, even if you don't believe you are asleep. You need to do research, and everything you hear, everything you read, everything you learn is a puzzle piece, and after a couple months, a couple years, decades, there's going to be a picture forming from these puzzle pieces, and this is where I am, and I think I'm there already a long time ago. The second night in the camping was a bit different than planned. I didn't really talk about any other topics this time, and I will continue to make other videos about that. But we spent the night talking. We made some ceremonial cacao to relax. We're watching the stars, although pretty much after it got dark, the moon started to rise and it got brighter again. It was still beautiful. There were a bunch of fishermen across the bay on the other beaches. They were a little bit annoying through the night. Like I said, low tide was around midnight, so I guess they used that opportunity to get crabs and all kinds of animals to eat. Maybe sea urchins and whatnot. After the cacao, we did some meditation, and after that we were talking a bit about Dr. Stephen Greer, or I told my friend about it, and how they summon ships, alien ships and aliens with the power of their mind. So we tried that, but unfortunately we had no luck. Still interesting, and it was just really nice to listen to the waves, the moonlight in the water, and just being out there in nature. Yeah, the rest of the night was not that great, because I had actually a brand new tent, and I thought that I purchased the same one that I had before, that I'm using on a farmland that I bought near to a beautiful volcano, from which I hopefully gonna be able to make some new videos soon when I go back, because that tent was very comfortable and spacious, because I'm quite tall, so I need a bit more of the average tent size to be comfortable. Well, it turned out that his tent, well, first he tried to spend the night in a hammock, which I knew it's not going to work, because I'm pretty sure there would be some rain clouds coming through. But he ended up putting up this tent in the middle of the night, as expected. And he had a bit of a quality tent compared to mine. a branded one, but his seams were not good anymore, so both of us were basically slept in the wet inside the tent. I started to get leaks through the roof part that's supposed to keep out any rain, right in my face, on my upper body, and tried to shift around and try to fix it, and it was just a mess. Really uncomfortable. In the end, I fell asleep with my feet in the water at the edges of the tent. I was too tired. But it was still nice. Somehow slept a couple hours in the early morning just because I was too exhausted to stay awake. And we woke up to another beautiful morning. And the sun is coming out. Looks beautiful. Look at this rainbow, guys. On the last morning, on the third day before we went back home, it's about an hour and a half ride. It was a bit windy conditions. We were able to do a bit more snorkeling in a reef that someone recommended me, a friend of mine, and it was absolutely beautiful, relaxing place. And I was able to get some fishes for the aquarium back home. I'm looking forward to make new videos and give you some more stories and information about the promised topics. Alright, I hope I see you again. Thanks for watching.